Shalom, shalom. Giving honor and praise to Yah, creator and maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, the tribe of Dan of the nation of Yisrael. On a human level, giving due respect, Prince Zippor, Nasi Zippor, Nasi Natanel, and Chief Natanel, as well as the elders, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters of the house of Yisrael. Bid you shalom, ubraka. What that means is peace and blessing. This is not going to be a long presentation. We just want to go over just a couple of things biblically on the matter of Yom Kippur. All right? So the sources I will use is this book here, which is the Tanakh, well, basically, pardon me, the Torah in Hebrew itself. We'll be using this, the regular standard Bible, and pardon the cover, this here, the Apocrypha, for certain citations concerning this kind of matter. All right, so we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about and what we're dealing with. One of the things we wanted to be noted for edification purposes is that it is virtually impossible, and I say this no disrespect intended, it is virtually impossible to teach that one died or anyone died for the house of Israel and then say we are going to do and set a time aside for an atonement time, which Yom Kippur in Hebrew means Day of Atonement. Yom means day, and Kippur means atonement, from the Hebrew word kippur, which means to atone. All right, so we just want to point that out for edification purposes. Okay, now, we're going to go, excuse me, to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, verse 26 to verse 32. Now, I'm going to read it first in Hebrew, and then we're going to read it in English, okay? Leviticus chapter 23, verse 26. Okay, and it says the following. All right. Wa'daber Yah el Moshe lemor ak be'esor lakodesh hashbi'i hazeh Yom HaKippurim hu mikra kodesh yihyeh lakem ve'initem et nafshotekem ve'hikrabtem ishe la Yehovah Wakal malaka lo ta'asu be'etzem hayom hazeh ki Yom Kippurim hu lekapir alekem lefnei Yah Eloheikem Ki ko hanefesh asher lo te'une ve'etzem hayom hazeh ve'nikrata me'ameha ve'ko hanefesh asher ta'aseh kal malaka be'etzem hayom hazeh v'ha'abati et hanefesh hahi be'kwereb amah kol malaka lo ta'asu kukwat olam lo dorotekem ve'ko moshpotekem Shabbaton hu lakem ve'initem et nafshotekem Batish ala kodesh be'ereb me'ereb ad ereb tish betu Shabbat kem. So I just have wanted that to be read. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out Hebraically is the word Shabbaton. The word Shabbaton is the word Shabbat just emphasized. All right, so it's just showing that it's like an absolute Shabbat, because the word Shabbat itself is a verb meaning to cease. Now, when you say Shabbaton, you're basically saying an absolute complete cessation. That's what that's talking about in that particular regard. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right? So now let's go to Leviticus 23, verse 26 in the English. All right? So we can gain an understanding and move on from that particular aspect. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 26 says the following. The Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. And you shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement to make atonement for you before the Most High. For whatsoever soul it be that be not afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls. And the ninth day of the month at even, from even to even, shall you celebrate your Sabbath. So, just wanted to point that out for reason and purposes. Yom Kippur is listed as a Sabbath. Shabbat, as we stated, means to cease or to discontinue. All right. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. Okay. Now, one of the stipulations you see concerning the timing of Yom Kippur is that you're not supposed to do any manner of work. All right. Now, sometimes it says you shall do no servile work. Servile work is basically work that requires you to get paid for such. Whereas once it comes to the seventh day Shabbat and once it comes to the timing of Yom Kippur, you're not supposed to do any manner of work. So just want that to be noted. It comes in on the 10th day of the 7th month. All right. That's the timing that we're talking about in that particular regard. All right. Now, we know good and well that we're not able to bring any offerings in this captivity. Let's go, if you will, to Leviticus chapter 22, verse 25. It says, neither from a stranger's hand shall you offer the bread of your God of any of these, because the corruption is in them and blemishes be in them. They should not be accepted for you. So we know that it says you're supposed to bring a fire offering before the Most High, but we also know that we can't bring no offerings like that nature before the Most High in the land of our captivity. However, the law does not state, well, you do absolutely nothing when these holy days come because you can't do what you're not able to do because of your captive state, because of your exiled state. You understand? We are still able to afflict our souls. We are still able to be in a position to not do any manner of work. All right. So just want that to be noted for edification purposes. Okay. So now it says when you go to verse 32, it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the ninth day of the month at even. From even unto even you shall celebrate your Sabbath. This is how you know one key point in the house of Israel that the day starts in the evening time, because it says when you go right to verse 26, pardon me, verse 27, and on the 10th day of this 7th month there shall be a day of atonement. So the day of atonement starts on the 10th of the 7th month. The 10th what? The 10th day. All right. So the 10th day of the 7th month is showing you when you go down to verse 32, this, and it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls. In the ninth day of the month at even, from even to evening, you shall celebrate your Sabbath. So we know good and well and understand that the day starts in the even. Because what is even? Even is the ending of one day and the beginning of another. I state again, even, which is ereb in the Hebrew. If you heard me earlier, you heard the word ereb said periodically. That's the Hebrew word for even, or even, said by some people as evening. But it is the evening or the even out from one day to another. Some call it or refer to it as dusk. All right. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. So, all right, now let's go, if you will, to Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29. And we're going to be reading in here from the Hebrew yet again to verse 34. Leviticus chapter 16, all right, verse 29. All right, so we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. All right. And it says the following, Leviticus 16, verse 29. All right. Wahaita lachem lakokwat olam, bakodesh hasbi'i, be'esor lakodesh, Te inu etna shotekem. Wakal malaka lo ta'asu. Ha ezrak. Wahager hagar batokem. Ki bayom haze. Yikapir alekem latahir etkem. Mekol katotekem lifne yorewa he tit haru. Shabbaton he. Lakem. We initem etna shotekem kukwat olam. Wakipir hakohen. Ashel yimshak oto. Wa asher yemale et yado. Lakahen takat abiu. Wa labash et bigday. Habad bigday hakodesh. Wa kiper et mikdash hakodesh. Wa et ohel moed. Wa et hamiz beak. Yikapir wa al hakohanim. Wa al kal am hakwahal yikapir. Wa hayata zot lakem lekukwat olam. Lekapir al bene Yisrael. Mekol katoktam akat bashana wa yaas kaasher ziwa ya et Moshe. So I just wanted that to have been read. So we're going to go now and read it in English. Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29 in English. All right. And it says the following so we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. All right. And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls, and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourns among you. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you, to cleanse you, that you may be clean from all your sins before the Most High. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you, and you shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. And the priest, whom he shall anoint, and whom he shall consecrate to minister in the priest's office, in his father's stead, shall make the atonement, and shall put on the linen clothes, even the holy garments. And he shall make an atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, and for the altar, and he shall make an atonement for the priests, and for all the people of the congregation. And this shall be an everlasting statute unto you, to make an atonement for the children of Israel, for all their sins once a year. And he did as the Most High commanded Moshe. So we just want that to be pointed out and read for edification purposes. All right, we are going to sit there and know good and well that the priesthood in the house of Israel, all right, has been not permanently stopped, but has been discontinued temporarily. When you go into the book of Hosea, it speaks about that particular aspect, that the children of Israel shall sit many days without a sacrifice, without an ephod, without an image, without a teraphim, and so forth. So we know good and well that we can't do any fire offerings. We know we can't offer anything from these other people's nations' hands to the Most High. So we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. Torah teaches you to have your own. Don't covet the next man's property. Have your own things. When you offer something of the Most High, let it be of your own substance. So these are the kinds of things that we want to point out for reason and purposes. All right. So just wanted to go over that particular aspect. That Yom Kippur, the purpose of it is for us to basically, some may call it self-denial, or just as the scriptures say, afflicting one's soul. When it says afflicting your soul, it's talking about calling a fast. That's what it's talking about in that particular aspect. It's not talking about cutting yourself physically and having the blood run out. You understand? It's not talking about that particular aspect. So we just want that to be noted. There are actually people who discuss, well, what does it mean when it says afflict your soul? It could be this, it could be that. No, it's not what it's talking about. We're talking about the people fasting before the Most High. All right. This is a time, and as just pointed out by the brother, Prince Nathaniel, after Shabbat and Shema, that when we go in the pier, we come in our humility. We don't come with our chains on, our jewelry on, and so forth and so on. You know, so that's one of the things we glean out of reading Exodus 32, when it says, have the people strip of their ornaments so the Most High will see what he will do with the people. All right. So that's the state that we want to come before the Most High. All right. So we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. Next, we want to get into, brothers and sisters, is Leviticus chapter 26. All right, we're going to go and read no more Hebrew like that, but I just wanted to read the Torah portions that relate directly to that in Hebrew. Okay, but we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 26, verse 39, because there may be some who say, well, we can't do these kinds of things in the land of our captivity because you may want to do whatever you care to do. But let's see what the Most High left on record for us, even in the lands of our enemies. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 39, and it says this: and they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity and your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. So Leviticus chapter 26, verse 39 distinctly says what? They that are left of you shall pine away, right? In their iniquity in your enemies' lands. So just because we're in the land of our enemies doesn't mean that our iniquities, our sins are still not being brought upon us. You see, you can't use the aspect of, well, we are enemies' land or captivity or exile from our homeland, the land of Yisrael, so therefore we could just do whatever, don't have to keep nothing holy, don't have to keep nothing sacred. No, that's not what the Torah is saying. Let's go over this one more time. Leviticus 26:39. And they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass, which they have trespassed against me, and that they also have walked contrary unto me, and that I have also walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. So when you have people who teach brothers and sisters, oh, you can't keep none of the holy days in the lands of your captivity, this right here distinctly says, if they shall confess their iniquity. Now we done read about the timing of Yom Kippur, about the people being forgiven for their sins by what? Obviously by confessing it. But if you have the heart and the spirit to say, well, we in the lands of our enemies, so we will not do nothing, your heart is uncircumcised. You still don't understand the point in being in captivity in the first place. Let's show why the Most High put Israel in captivity. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 39 so we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. We're going to go to the prophet Ezekiel chapter 39, all right, and read verse 22. Ezekiel 39:22. So the house of Israel shall know that I am Yah Elohim, the Lord their God, from that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. So they all fell by the drugs. So they all fell by disease. So they all fell by the famine. That's what the sword is. All right? According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, now will I bring back the captivity of Jacob, and will have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. After they have borne their shame and all their trespasses, whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am the Lord their God, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there. Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Most High. So there is no such thing as spiritual Israel. The true house of Israel is going to have the spirit of the Most High poured upon them. Israel needs a godly spirit, not a bunch of people calling on idols, no offense intended, then trying to say, oh, well, they spiritual Israel. No, it's not about the spirit of Israel. It's about Israel having the spirit of the Most High. It distinctly says, now neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel. So I just want that to have been read. So it tells you why Israel went into captivity. But we have to confess our iniquities before the Most High. All right? So we want that to be noted for evidence purposes. Whatever your iniquity or your shortcoming is, you know what it is. Everyone has them. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20 says, "There's not a man that doeth good and sinneth not." So all have sinned. You understand? It's just dependent upon whatever sin you've done before the Most High that you may want to sit there and talk to the Most High about, whatever it is. You understand? It may not be the next person's business. You understand? It may not be the next brother or sister's business. It may be a personal matter between you and your maker. You understand? But just want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right? So we're going to continue on. All right? We're going to go to the book of First Kings. We in First Kings chapter 8, verse 44. All right, so we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. First Kings chapter 8, verse 44. All right, and it reads as follows. This is part of Solomon's prayer. If thy people go out to battle against their enemy, whithersoever thou shalt send them, and shalt pray unto the Most High toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I have built for thy name, then hear thou in heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in a land whether they would carry captives, and repent, and make supplication unto thee, in a land of them that carried them captive, saying, we have sinned, we have done perversely, we have committed wickedness, and so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul, in the land of their enemies, which lead them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, in the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people that have sinned against thee, and all their transgressions wherein they have transgressed against thee, and give them compassion before them who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them. For they are thy people and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt from the midst of the furnace of iron. So Israel was led into captivity. Solomon stated in his prayer that if they are in the enemy, if Israel is in the land of their enemies, if they shall bethink themselves and say, we have sinned, we have done perversely, we have committed wickedness. The Most High said that that prayer was accepted before him in First Kings chapter 9. So we may want to just pray only to the Most High, because that's the only one Solomon, before he dealt with his idols, prayed to. This is the only one that Daniel prayed to. It's the only one that Jehu called upon before he started dealing with his idols. It's the only one that David called on. So we may want to just call on the Most High only. When you go in the book of Samuel, it says that if you put away your idols, your false gods, and call on the Most High and serve him alone, not him and someone else. If you serve the Most High alone, then the enemies will begin to sit there and go away from you. You want to see the fall of your enemies and the rise of your people? Return to the Most High. They know what they're doing when they put these stumbling blocks against our people to cause us to not keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. The Sabbath day is very important. And I personally have not always been the best Sabbath keeper, but the Shabbat day is very important. It's a time to commune with the Most High. They don't want our people to have that connection and communication with the Most High. So they'll tell you to pray to someone else to get to the Most High. It says in Psalms that the Most High is nigh, meaning near to Israel. So Israel don't have to call on anyone else to get to the Most High. No one else. No one else. All right. So we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right. Now, let's go, if we will, to Hosea chapter 14, verse 1. All right. So we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about and conclude out. O Israel, return unto the Most High thy King, for thou hast fallen by thine iniquity. Take with you words and turn unto Yah. Say unto him, take away all iniquity and receive us graciously. So will we render the cast of our lips. Because Israel can't do services or sacrifices like that, it says if they call on the Most High, if they confess their iniquity. We read it in Leviticus 26. We read it in 1 Kings chapter 8, and we can see it right here. The Most High stated in 1 Kings chapter 9 that Solomon's prayer was accepted before Yah. So we may want to humble ourselves before the Most High and commune with the Most High. That's the time that Yom Kippur is about. All right? So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. We're going to conclude with reading something in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus chapter 20. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 28. All right? And it says the following. For those who have the standard Apocrypha, it's on page 87. He that revenges shall find vengeance from the Most High, and he will surely keep his sins in remembrance. Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee. So shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. One man beareth hatred against another, and doth he seek pardon from the Most High? He showeth no mercy to a man which is like unto himself, but doth he ask forgiveness of his own sins? If he that is but flesh nourish hatred, who will entreat for pardon of his sins? Remember thy end, and let enmity cease. Remember corruption and death, and abide in the commandments. Remember commandments, and bear no malice to thy neighbor. Remember the covenant of the highest, and wink at ignorance. Abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins. For a furious man will kindle strife. A sinful man disquieteth friends, and maketh debate among them that are at peace. As a matter of fire is, so it burneth. And as a man strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches, his anger riseth. And the stronger they are which contend, the more which will be inflamed. And hasty contention kindleth a fire, and a hasty fighting sheddeth blood. If thou blow the spark, it will burn. If thou spit upon it, it will be quenched, and both come out of thy mouth. Curse the whisperer and double tongue, for such have destroyed many that are at peace. A backbiting tongue hath disquieted many, and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities have it pulled down, and overthrown the houses of great men. A backbiting tongue hath cast out virtuous women, and deprived them of their labors. Whoso hearkeneth unto it shall never find rest, and never dwell quietly. The stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many have fallen by the tongue. Well is he that is defended from it, and have not passed through the venom thereof, who hath not drawn the yoke thereof, nor hath been bound in her hands. For the yoke thereof is the yoke of iron, and the bands thereof are bands of brass. The death thereof is an evil death, and the grave were better than it. It shall not have rule over them that fear the Most High, neither shall they be burned with the flame thereof. Such as forsake the Most High shall fall into it, and it shall burn in them and not be quenched. It shall not, pardon me, it shall be sent unto them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard. Look look that thou hedge, pardon me, verse 24 again. Look that thou hedge thy possession about with thorns, and bind up thy silver with gold, and weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door and a bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait. So it talks about not taking vengeance against your fellow man, against your people. We want that to be noted. It's not saying don't ever have war. It's saying talking about vengeance against your brethren. All right. Then it talks about the aspect about those who don't want to forgive the brethren of what was done, and they want to sit there and harbor that kind of thing. When the Most High has already shown you that he dealt with a matter, if you ever had a problem with anyone, then you can't sit there and not forgive them or him or her for such a matter, because the Most High already took care of it. All right. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. So that was Ecclesiasticus chapter 28 in Apocrypha. All right. And it also speaks about the backbiting tongue. You know, the person who talks behind you, behind your back kind of thing is not a good way to be. All right. So we just want those couple of things to have been read. Yom Kippur time starts tomorrow evening. And it's the same timing as the regular Shabbat, just happens to be on the same day as the regular Shabbat. So with that, I say Torah for the time. Shalom, Most High bless. Have a good day, night, and Yom Kippur and weekend. Shalom Lachem.